Camera control. Wouldn't it be nice, but when our player moved left and right, the camera followed us as well? Because at this point in time, I go off screen and I don't know where I'm going. I might fall off something, that type of stuff. So, what we're going to do in this video is basically show you how to get the camera to follow the player and also to follow you if you're jumping up and down, that type of stuff as well. So, one thing you might have noticed, I've added a sun, I've added a tree, so I just brought these in, dragged and dropped them, and on the ordering layer, I've sent them to -1, so they're behind my player, that type of stuff. Now, at this point in time, some of you might know a little bit about Unity and think, well, easy way to do this, Rob, is just simply to grab the camera and drag and drop it onto the player. And that should work. So let's press play and see what happens. Because technically then the player has the main camera attached to it. So if I'm pressing right, wow, that's working perfectly. However, when I press left, it kind of goes a little bit bananas. Now, that would actually work perfectly if our player was in the middle of our scene. So if you really want to make this easy, you could literally grab your player. We'll have to take the camera out first of all, sorry, before we do that. But grab the player and put it exactly in the middle of the screen, and then we attach the camera to it. And when we press play, it will do as kind of what I expected to do. So as I'm pressing left and right, it's a little bit glitchy, but it is following us. So that's the easiest way to do it. Now, the thing is, there are a couple of other things I want to point out. You could potentially add something called Cinematic, I think it is, on Windows. If you go to Package Manager, and if you click on Unity Registry here, there will be something called Cinematic Studio. And if you click on it and press install, you can then, and it takes a little while to do, but once it's installed into your Unity, you can quite simply just right click on your main camera and you can add cinematic things on here, which is pretty cool. And in fact, that is something I'm probably am going to do in this game. But for the time being, I just want to show you a bit of code to kind of make this the way I really want it to be. Now, the way I kind of want it to be, I know it sounds a bit odd thing to say, in a Super Mario game, you start off in the bottom left of the screen. So if I click on game here, you start off in the bottom left of the screen, and as you walk across, the camera starts to follow you when you get to a certain point. So I'm just going to show you how to kind of get this set up and coded so you can do it. And also when I get to the end of the level, I basically walk to the wall or walk to the end point, and a camera stops following me at some stage. So first thing I'm going to need to do is actually select my camera and then move it across into the position where I would like to start from. So I'm just going to put it roughly about there. And even though the camera's kind of showing that I'm more or less on the left there, I am going to click on game just to make sure that I'm happy with that. Now, all I need to do on my camera itself, if I add a component, and I'm going to call it camera controller, so I've already got it typed in, new script, and create an ad, it will generate a new script for us. And as you can see, it's the usual bits and pieces which get generated. And if I open that up in Visual Studio, it looks like this. So I'm not going to need those top two lines. I'm not going to need start at all, so I'm going to get rid of those, and I don't need the comments there. I just like to tidy things up so it looks a bit easier to read, basically. And in this document here, I have a load of code which I am going to bring over. In fact, I'm going to highlight up to that point, and I'll explain what they are and why these bits are in green as well. So let's just get them across here first and foremost and paste them into there. Obviously, you guys will have to type this in. So I would need to say to the camera, follow the player. So this is going to be kind of linked up to our player. And I'm going to talk about these question marks in a moment. So I'm not actually going to press save at this stage because I know it's going to give me error messages about what's in there. But the idea is when the player gets to a certain X position on the screen, and remember, X is left and right, Y is up and down, and Z, because it's 2D, doesn't really come into play, but we do need to refer to it. So at the moment, my camera, because I've moved it, its X position is 7.28. So I'm actually going to use that number in this part here. So I'm going to put that as 7.28 F. I could have copied and pasted it. And I put an F on it. I don't think I need to, but because I'm using decimal places. And what this bit of code says is when the player gets up to this position, so it's halfway across the screen, then the camera is going to start following us. So I'm just going to save that a moment, come back onto here, going to let it do what it needs to do. I haven't got any red error messages. It's got to hold on, which is a good sign. And when I press play, and I know this is going to not work. And I just want to kind of pick up on something. So it's actually saying, what are you talking about down here? So I can move left and right. And clearly at this point, the camera isn't following us. Now, the reason why that isn't happening, or what reason why I've got this error message, is because on the main camera where I've added the camera controller, I've got this player, but I actually do need to drag across the player to say, this is what I want you to follow. And this time when I press play, and click on the player so we can actually keep an eye on its X position and its Y position. So as you can see, as I start going left and right, the X position across here is changing. And when I get up to X is 7.28, whatever it is, the camera starts to follow us. And when I come back and I go less than that position, it slows down or basically stops following us. Now I haven't got anything on the end there to stop me falling off. But what you probably did notice as I got to the end, I also need to kind of have a point where I get to an end point. So we'll just say that this is my end of level. So what I'm doing at this point, I'm just trying to move my player so it's kind of roughly, so I can't see the little edge of the ground there in the corner, look. So I'm just going to go to there, and I'm actually going to use that number there, the 22.825. And the second bit of code, which is on here, the bit which I've got commented out. So if anything's commented out, basically it's not compiled, and that basically means that there isn't it's not going to get recognized by Unity while it's trying to work out what's going on. And you'll notice that it's exactly the same, apart from this question mark, or this set of question marks I'm replacing with the number I've just copied. And this time, I'm actually going to put it there as well, and put the F on there as well, just to make sure it doesn't have any issues. So this time when I press save, when I go past that point, the camera should stop following me. It should lock in that position. So let's try that again. So we know it works at the beginning, and if I press play, and here we go. So the first bit works fine. As I get towards the end and I get to that position, look, it actually stops following me until I go back this way. So that's what I mean by like a Super Mario start or even a Sonic start. You start over on the bottom left of the screen and then it starts following you over. Now, a little bit of an issue. If I'm jumping and potentially I've got a platform to jump up onto and I go up above the screen, then clearly the camera's not following me at this stage. So one other bit of code which is on here, not on there at all, which is commented out at the bottom here. This is actually referring to the player's Y position. And what I mean by that is the Y position is obviously when you go up and down. And this time, where it says player position X, so it follows us, if we go past that point, we want the camera to follow us when the Y position goes past what this point is. Now, again, I'm going to look at the camera settings, and the camera settings is 1.92. So I'm going to copy it this time because I'm being lazy. In fact, I probably could have typed that in faster by putting this in myself. And I'm going to pop that there and put the F, and I'm going to save it. And when I go back, as I jump now, then when I go past 1.92, I'm going to click on my player so we can see where I'm. So I'm currently at minus 0.695. But when I jump, look, it does actually start to follow me. So the way to really test that is to maybe get the ground, which I'm going to copy and paste. And oh no. So I've got where's ground two or square one. That's a good naming system, isn't it? I'm just going to drag this one across so it is there. And this one's got the tag ground on there as well. So from the previous video, shows you how to do that. And this time when I'm jumping, you can see it starts to follow me. But as I jump up onto that and I keep jumping up higher, look, it actually keeps following me until I drop back down to that position. So when I drop back down to underneath the number, which was the 1.92, it basically stops following me. So I could potentially have platforms going up and up and up. Now, and I could do that going down as well. That's a little bit of tinkering with code. Now, you might have noticed, top left-hand corner, I've got the sun. And as I walk along, the sun disappears. So really, it should be dark at this stage. Now, realistically, the sun is always in the sky, isn't it? No matter where we are on the planet, where we walk, which way we kind of like turn or twist, it will always be a constant there. So I really want it to be stuck in my background and potentially anything else. So I could have background scenery. But if I just dump it on like I did with my tree and I move left and right, and I've done with my sun at the moment, it kind of disappears. So what I'm going to need to do, my sun, which is there at this point in time, I'm actually going to drag that up and drop it on the camera. And when I press play, and I can do this again with any background scenery, that type of stuff, no matter where I go, the sun follows. But as you might have noticed, that's a little bit of an issue. So an easy fix on the sun itself, I click on the sun and I just make sure that it is -10, something like that. So it's always behind stuff. And as I walk left and right now, it will always stay behind me and kind of always be locked in that position wherever the camera might be.